Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know what you're thinking. Why do you have a book out? You're not a book channel. Well, first off, I haven't read this book yet, so if you have, let me know down below. I've read a few of his other books and I do like them, but the reason I'm showing this book is because I made a bookmark. No, I haven't started reading this book. I just plopped the bookmark inside. So you're gonna learn how to make this simple bookmark for family or friends or for yourself with cute little fringe and very simple design. So let's get into it. Okay, to make this bookmark, we are going to use this small loom. I'm trying to remember if it says it has 24 pegs and it has a gauge of 3/8 inch gauge. I mean, you can kind of see it hopefully on the bottom. We're not going to use all the pegs obviously to make this, but I just wanted to show you that this particular brand actually does say it, how many pegs and stuff are on it. You could even use a finer gauge loom if you wanted. I just thought this one might be the easiest to maneuver on camera. And the reason you see this line here is, unlike other looms, this does not indicate where a starting peg is. So I just did this to the loom so that I would know where it was. I just dug in a little bit, added some white paint, and then Mod Podged over it so I could have a starting paint. This loom came from this set, which was a knitting board, baby knit looms. It came in a 2-pack, so this came with a smaller turquoise loom, and then this loom that is probably for booties or something. So this is a brand that it came out of. And what we're going to use for our yarn is, I went through my stash because I really have been trying to use up some of that, and I found this what I felt was a really pretty thin yarn. This has some blue, some brown, and some white in it, and I just thought it was really pretty, and it's thin, and that's what you want for this bookmark, is a thin yarn. So anything you have that's similar to this yarn should work. And again, what I liked about it is, with it being variegated, we've got our white, we got our brown, and even some of our blue, which may not show up totally on camera. But again, you're going to want a thin yarn. This one is has a little bit of floof to it, and a little bit of fluffiness, which is fine. But again, you're going to want a thin yarn because you don't want it to be too bulky inside the book. And again, this is probably designed for a bookmark to be like if you're reading in your room and you just want to stick something in there. I don't know how well this will travel and keep your spots, so keep that in mind when you're making it, that you may want to use a different type of bookmark for that kind of process if you're taking your book someplace. The other thing is, I am going to do a different kind of bookmark later on that's going to be a little more interesting. I want to keep this one super duper simple for you guys, so that way it's something you can work up quickly, perhaps give as a gift for Christmas for anyone that's a book lover. So we're going to just cast on 5 pegs. So on this loom, there's my starting point. I'm going to do my slip knot like normal. Okay, and I'm going to place that, and we can hide this tail later into the project. I'm going to place that on my starter peg, and then I'm only casting on 5 pegs in the E-wrap knit. If you want, you can grab your working tail and do that with it if you want, and we're just going to wrap 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Push those down. Don't wrap too tightly, otherwise you're going to have trouble knitting over, and then go back over to your starting peg, so we can get this casted on. I'm also using kind of a new knitting board aeronomical loom pick, different than what I normally use. I've been testing this one out to see if I like it more than what you normally see me use. And so far it hasn't been too bad. But as with any project, the tighter you wrap, the harder it's going to be to knit over. So always keep that in mind. So that's our cast on. Go ahead and push that down. Okay, Alright, now we're going to keep it super simple. We're going to do the garter stitch, which everybody, for the most part, probably knows because you knit a row and you purl a row. That's what the base of this, the bulk of this bookmark is going to be. Again, we're keeping it super duper simple. I want this great beginner project for people that are introducing themselves to loom knitting. So, but instead of doing the E-wrap knit that we typically do, I'm actually going to do the U-knit. Now, because my first row is E-wrap, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm just going to start in with the U-knit for the actual garter, even though normally sometimes I would switch to the purl since I already did an E-wrap row, but I'm not worrying about that for this. Again, it's a bookmark. The more you use it in a book, it's going to flatten itself out anyway, so any curling that might happen should be minimal. And again, it's going to be placed in between pages of the book. It will kind of flatten itself out. So because the U-knit is a little different, I'm going to show that again. U-knit, you don't wrap like an E-wrap. You know how we wrap with E-wrap? We just wrap it like that. We just kind of wrap it around. We're not going to do that. You kind of wrap it this way, like in front, so that it's sort of backwards. So you kind of see that we have it sort of behind it. We're wrapping it. And keep it gentle, because again, the tighter you hold that yarn, the harder it's going to be to knit over. So we just have our U-wrap. I'm just gently holding it in place behind it, and I'm knitting over. I'm going to go to the next one and do the same thing. I'm going to come in front of the peg, and I'm just going to wrap it kind of like a U. You're basically making it look like a U, see? So you're just U-wrapping it so it kind of is behind it a little bit. Knit, oops, get back here. Knit it over. Again, U-wrap is just kind of making like a U in front of it. Wrap it over. This was probably, that's a straggle, so that's not part of that, okay. And my U-wrap, and knit it over. So now what we got to do is we got to do a purl row. And again, for those that don't know purl, it's where we just take our working yarn and we go underneath the project. And we go through the loop that's on the peg. We work our working yarn underneath it, and then we turn our peg so that it creates a nice little loop that we then take off the peg and place that new loop on the peg. So it's kind of swoop down in, kind of turn to create a new loop, take the old loop off and put your new loop on. And you're going to continue that for the next two pegs here. Okay, and now we're back to doing our U-knit. Again, because garters typically worked over 4 rows, and we're going to be repeating those rows. Again, I want this super simple. So remember, with U-knit, we're just coming in front and kind of making it go towards the back, keeping it kind of gentle, because again, we don't want it to be where we can't knit it over because we held the yarn too tight. But the U-knit creates a little bit tighter stitch than doing the E-wrap. If you want to, you could try a flat knit, which is laying it just in front of it. And again, that's going to make it an even tighter stitch. So you really can kind of practice. I do have a video that showcases the different types of knit stitches, and I might be able to link that down below for those. So again, just our U-knit working across. Now we're just going to go back over here, and we're going to do our purl again. Okay, making sure we create our new loop, take the old loop off, put the new loop on. Okay, and that is the garter stitch worked over 4 rows. Sorry, you just heard a box fall. So again, we did our U-knit row, a purl row, a U-knit row, a purl row. And it's just starting to come through here. And again, you'll have some straggles that you can kind of work in. I'll finish that off at the end. And that's all I'm going to do now, is I'm just going to repeat that pattern this many times. Okay, so again, you're doing 4 rows at a time. You're going to repeat those 4 rows this many times. And then we'll be ready to show you how to take it off the loom. Okay, after we completed that process 15 times, this is what we end up with. A pretty good size piece. And as you can see, if you had did this in E-wrap instead of U-knit, this would be a lot more looser, and in a sense, it would almost be like a little bit longer. So again, if you decide you don't want to do the U-knit, do a little swatch up so you can compare the U-knit to the E-wrap and the flat knit to see which one you'd actually want to do. Some of you maybe want to switch it out to the flat knit. It's really whatever you want to do. I just wanted to show a very simple bookmark. And so this is what we have, and I think it looks really cute. I like that you can kind of see the different colors. And now we're going to take it off. But before we do, because we're on this side, I wanted to just add in just a couple rows of E-wrap, just because I want to make sure it's a little looser when I go to take it off and for the next thing we're going to do. So we're just going to quickly do 2 rows of E-wrap. Again, this is the process you can choose not to do if you didn't want to. And if you do make this bookmark, I would love for you to go to my Facebook page, which is linked down below, and show me your bookmark. I'm really curious to see what colors people do theirs in, and anything that you've done to kind of change it out a little bit. So again, we're just going back to our starting point, and we're just doing the straight E-wrap before we take it off. This just helps loosen up some of the loops, so that way it won't be as tight taking it off. Alright, so once we get that done, now we're going to do a crochet cast off with 2 chains in between. It's going to make this part a little wider than this part, which will give the bookmark a little bit extra little detail. So for the crochet cast off, cast off, I almost forgot what I was saying. We're going to take our yarn, we're going to wrap the first peg once. Don't you mess with me. Once. We're going to wrap it one more time. And then you're going to move it over to the next peg. Knit that over. Go ahead and wrap that twice. You can also try one if you want and see if you like that look better. It's really, like I said, I love that you can modify anything of this. So again, our second time wrapping that one. And then we're going to move it over to the next peg. Knit it over. Wrap it once. Wrap it twice. Move it over. Knit it over. Wrap it once. Wrap it twice. If it cooperates. Okay, and then move it over to the last peg. And knit it over. We don't need to do chains on this one. And now what we're going to do is you're going to take your scissors, you're going to cut a little bit of a tail. Then you're going to have a crochet hook as well. So you're going to lift it off of your loom, keeping that loop there. Put it on your crochet hook. Now take the yarn that you have and work it through to help lock this in place. And as you can see, by doing it that kind of stuff, we have a slightly different look on this side of our bookmark, just to give it a little more detail. And I usually like to do like a little double knot, or another knot in it, just to lock it in place. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our bookmark, but we're going to add a little more detail. We're going to add a little bit of fringe to it, and I already have a fringe kind of started here. I'm just going to trim it down because I don't want a lot of fringe. Come here. Okay, and with the fringe, all you're going to do is you're going to take some of your yarn and you're just going to cut it into strips. So cut one the way you like. I mean, again, it's going to be however long you want it. Then just match them up. Go ahead, cut it. I just kind of pair them up so I can get them roughly the same length. You can trim them down afterwards, but this is the way to get them roughly the same size. And I'm not going to add a lot of fringe. I just feel like these scissors do not want to work today. Okay. So we got, what do I have here? I have 3 pieces cut up and ready to go. So I can put them in one point if I want and just have it come out, which I think will be kind of cute. So when you're doing the fringe, go ahead and put it in a hole. Take the 3 strands, or 2 or 1, whatever you're going to do. Put them on your crochet hook and then bring that through a little bit. Okay, now take the hole that you have and push all the other yarn through that loop. Pull it through. Make sure you're getting all the strands. I think that one went to the other one, but that's okay. And we just kind of pull it, and then we can easily trim it down. Since this is my shortest one, I might just trim it down right to that. That way it'll still be cute. And that's why I like do a little longer than you want, and then you can kind of putter. So that part's done. So we have a little bit of our fringe on this side of the bookmark. If you want to, you can go ahead and do another one, a fringe on this side if you wanted, but I wasn't too worried about that side, so I'm just going to kind of pull that working yarn I had, and I'm just going to like tie it off just to make sure that it's kind of looped in place, or locked in place. I don't know why things are fighting me today. Get in there. Okay, that's not where I wanted the knot to go. There we go. Either way, it's down a little lower. Now, if you don't like that, you can kind of trim it, but I'm thinking I actually like the idea of adding a little fringe to the other side of my bookmark, so I think I'm going to actually do that. That will also kind of help hide the oopsie if you want. Like, if you're doing it and you're like, well, I want to hide that working yarn, just go ahead and make fringe for the other side. And since I only used 3 strands before, that's all I'm going to do this time as well. But again, you can add more or less. I just think the fringe is kind of cute. I might need to get new scissors. I think my scissors are getting old. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Kind of go through a loop near the end. Put our fringe yarn on it. Gently bring it through enough to have a loop. Okay, and then with this loop you put the other ones through. And you just tie it. And then again, because I have that long straggle, I can easily trim it down to kind of mimic the working yarn tail. And if they're not all the same length, that's okay. So now we have our bookmark, which I think is actually really cute. Like I said, it's got the different colors into it, and it's like very, very simple. And I thought this was a great project to share with you guys, because if you have any scrap yarn like I do, you can make these cute little bookmarks to be able to give to people. And again, I just have the book I used in the beginning, and I can just slather it in there, just to let you get an idea of how long it is. Let me see if I can crank this bag up here a little bit. Really quickly show you guys. So yeah, we got our bookmark in there, and you can kind of see the fringe coming out this side. So it's a pretty good size for, like, I think the average size book. This book I picked to show it in I felt was a little smaller than some of my hardcovers, but a little bigger than some of my paperbacks. So I figured this would give us an idea. If you want out more, I mean, you could do longer fringe. You can just see it peeking out there. But I haven't read this book yet. So if you actually have read this book, let me know. I have a few of his books on hand to read. I've got a mixture of books on my bookshelf, so I will definitely be making more bookmarks to put in them. I have things from, you know, romance to probably scary to mystery to everything. And this is just an author that I do like, and I've read a few of his by. But as you can see, I think the book looks really nice, and it seems like it would. And when it's in the side, you can see it's not too thick in the book itself. On either side, it's not too bad, except for the knot where that is, but it's not too bad. So I hope you like this, and if you've liked this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future videos. And if you like this also, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It helps my channel to grow, and just love, again, to see the kind of bookmarks you guys do. So make sure you go to my Facebook page if you haven't already. The link should be down there. And post with me, or post on it, what bookmarks you've made of this. Like what colors you've used. Did you change anything out? Did you add fringe? Did you not add fringe? Another cool idea would maybe be even adding some beads on the end if you know it's going to hang outside the book. Like I said, this book I figured was kind of average. It was, again, smaller than some of my hardcovers, but bigger than some of my paperbacks, and I just kind of do like the length of it, and it seems to work. So have a great day, everyone.